V'nosati shalaboretz. Here the Torah, after it speaks about the bounty, the unlimited bounty, and how a person will be sated or eats less, and it's the equivalent of more nourishment-wise, satisfaction-wise. In addition, nosati shalaboretz. I will make sure I will place peace in the land. And when you go to sleep, you don't have to be worried that when you're off guard, the enemy will come. There'll be divine protection. I guarantee there'll be what? There'll be peace. There won't be any level of distraction. Let's see Rashi. Nasati shalom. If I have food, I have drink, all my physical amenities are provided for. You'd say, well, what's the good of all of it? If you live in fear that at every moment, everything in your life may be turned upside down, so what's the good of all it? Talmud Omar, I guarantee there'll be peace. Meaning, you could have everything in the world, but if mind-wise, sense-wise, you never know when it may come to end. Because there may be an incursion, and your life may be disrupted, and there won't be any peace, the value is automatically minimized. Hashem says, I will bring peace to the land. If a person lives in peace, that's primary to everything. You don't live in peace, you could have it all, but your life is always about to be disrupted emotionally, mentally. You don't have that sense of value of whatever you have. When Hashem brings peace, it's equivalent. He created everything. I'll give you an example. We've mentioned, which we didn't have this yet, on a Torah level, we're getting back to ribis. You're not permitted to lend money to a Jew with interest, but to a non-Jew, you're permitted to. You're permitted. Because it's a haloch, to your brother, you're not permitted. But rabbinically, the rabbi said that you're not even permitted to lend money to a non-Jew. You're not, why? It's offense. Because a person who's the money lending business, if we allow you to make profit on a loan, you do it to the non-Jew, ultimately you can do it to the Jew. It's offense. It's a rabbinic offense. However, the Gemara said, what about it's kedei parnasoso? If you have to do it just to make ends meet, or that's your livelihood, if it's your livelihood, you need for your livelihood, then it's permitted to lend money to a non-Jew. The rabbinic fence only applies where it's extra cash. But if that is your livelihood, you're permitted. So Tosas explains, Rabbeinu Tam says today that we live in exile and Jewish lives are continuously disrupted. There are upheavals, there are displacements. A Jew is never secure ever. Whatever livelihood he has, it's not sure that will be sufficient because tomorrow may not be there. Therefore, we're always in the state that whatever we do financially, that's for the sake of our livelihood. Therefore, a Jew today, Rabbeinu Tam says, is permitted to lend money with interest, although that's not his primary business. He's not a banker. They're permitted. So we see this concept, if there's no shalom, as much as you secure in whatever you have, since you could be disrupted, it could be taken from you, or you could be removed from that location, then that minimizes its value. So therefore, Hashem says that if you follow my statutes, so on and so forth, and you're dedicated to what you're supposed to be dedicated for, I guarantee you'll live in security. I will oversee your safety. You have nothing to be concerned about. There's a status of a person which the Maral says it hasn't existed since the time to be shown in. It's called Torah Noso. Torah Noso means that the Torah is the equivalent of your vocation. And what is that? And there's certain situations where a person is absolved and he's not obligated to do certain things if that is your level of dedication. Torah Noso means that just as when you're engaged in your business, You will not take out time to do something else. And every moment is valued for whatever it is. And you don't allow any distraction or disruption during that period of time. Torah Nosa means you're so dedicated to Torah, nothing has value that you can interrupt your Torah study for the sake of anything else, unless you have no choice. That's Torah Nosa. What does that mean? That all that matters is the Torah itself. And therefore you're willing to forego all the amenities of life. Hashem says, I will provide those amenities on an unlimited level. I will provide safety for you. That since when you study Torah, you study it in a undistracted context, because nothing has the value other than the Torah itself. Anything which is beyond your control, if that should come about, is not going to come about. I guarantee that you'll live in peace. The Ishpati Robin Oritz. I will remove predator animals from the land. You don't have to be concerned about your safety, not from the enemy and not from predator animals. The Cherev lo saver ba'artzachem, and the sword will not pass through your land. So we'll see Rashi in a moment. I mean, if Hashem is guaranteeing you to live in peace, what does it mean? The sword won't pass through your land. So the first is speaking about you'll be protected from your enemies. What about if you have armies that are not your enemies, but they want to pass through your territory? And they pass through your territory, they pass through with what? With their weaponry. You never know when a foreign power goes through your territory, there may be something which may ignite a problem and your life's in jeopardy. So there's always a worry, even though the person who's not your enemy, there's always a concern, something may ignite it and we'll have a problem. So our security is in question. Hashem says, no, even that. No, even friendly nation will want to pass through your territory with their weaponry. You'll always be in a state of what? Of safety and security. And you'll always have that tranquility in your mind to be able to continue to be focused on what you want to be focused with. You know, there's a story. This person lived before the war, and he had tremendous bitachon, tremendous faith in Hashem, that whatever he needs, Hashem will provide. And he was world-renowned for this. And he's a real tzaddik. And when you looked at him, you think, you're not in touch with reality. But somehow, it always worked out. So this person goes, listen to the story, he goes to the Vilna train station, and he gets online to buy a ticket. And somebody who's in front of the line sees this holy rabbi in the back of the line, and he says to him, Rabbi, you're going to wait at the end of the line. Give me your money. I'll buy the ticket. When I buy my ticket, I'll buy 2 tickets. You don't have to wait online. So the rabbi says to this person, he says, I can't give you money because I have no money to buy the ticket. He says, if you have no money to buy the ticket, why are you waiting online? He says, you got a good question. But somehow, Hashem always works it out for me. He says, do me a favor. I'll pay for the ticket. Just wait there. I'll bring you the ticket. You understand? That was his level of bitachon. It always worked out. Not that he was counting it. Hashem is going to work it out for him. Somehow he's going to have the money to buy the ticket to get on that train. He's going to have the ticket. If you have the level you value and esteem the Torah to such a degree that nothing will interrupt your Torah study, Hashem says, I provide everything will be in place for you. Whether it's the material, whether it's your security, whether it's your tranquility, everything will be there because that's exactly what you want. The Gemara tells us in famous Gemara Makos, whatever path you want to choose in life, Hashem will assist you in that path, even to do a sin. Person wants to be a thief, and he makes sure to be a thief, and he wants to advance his area of criminality. Hashem will provide opportunities for you to be a thief. He will provide that. Not that he's pushing you to be the thief, but whatever you want to create a setting that's your area of choice, to make choices. Other people who don't want to stay away from that, they won't be exposed to that, to bring them to a level of temptation because they have no interest in that area. And if your interest in his mitzvah, Hashem will provide opportunities to be able to do mitzvahs. It's a different environment. If you are dedicated to Torah, you're a Melam Torah, and you don't even bring in the harvest, as the Gemara tells us. Chizkiah Melech Yehuda. Chizkiah was the king of Yehuda. His father was an idolater. When he became the king, he destroyed all the idolatry, and he gave the Jews an ultimatum. He gave them a choice. He gathered all the Jewish people. He took a Sefer Torah and a sword, and he says, I'm giving you a choice. Either you live by the Torah or you can be pierced by the sword. That's the choice I'm giving you. Within 2.5 years, all the women and children were proficient in laws of spiritual purity. Turned them upside down. Whatever they were negative, they're positive plus. And it says the Jews were revered and valued Torah to such a degree that he created such an environment that the grapes on the vine were rotting. It doesn't pay to pick the grapes. If I have to give up my Torah study for that, let the grapes rot. So what happened? Sancheriv, who exiled the 10 tribes, he comes to Yerushalayim to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. And there were 3 tribes left. There was Binyamin, Yehuda, and Levi, and the Kohanim. And he comes with millions of troops to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. Hashem says to Gabriel, the archangel, who's the Malach Hadin, he says, what should I do? Should I have Chizkiah Melech Yehuda go to battle and interrupt his Torah study and interrupt the Jews' Torah study, which today they have no interest in being disrupted? Or should I just wipe out the camp? And he won't even be aware of it, that the camp of Sancheriv will be wiped out. So Hashem says, I will not disrupt Chizkiah Melech Yehuda's Torah study, because since he lets the oil burn late at night, and that's what they want, Gabriel, sharpen your sickle, just wipe them out. At one moment, one swipe, the troops, the next morning, they were found all incinerated. All Sancheriv's troops, because he gathered many nations to come to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, they were all destroyed. Hashem would not allow Chizkiah's Torah study to be disrupted. He should have any interruption in his Torah study, because that's what the standard he established. What's primary, not to be interrupted for anything. They were able to internalize that value that even the great. How did Hashem compensate it financially? Because when they came and they realized the camp of Sancheriv was destroyed, do you know the level of wealth that camp had? They went out, they find they're all incinerated, literally ash. And what do? They have spoils of war there, and they never went to war. And it was multiples, endless times multiples of what they originally, which they passed on to let the grape rot on the vine. Hashem says, you sacrifice for me, I provide for you. So the bounty, unlimited bounty, which they had, Chizkiah, king of Judah, was due to their dedication, not wanting to be distracted or interrupted regarding the Torah study. Rodfu became Chamisha, Mayo. 5 of you will pursue 100. Umea became Revova Yerdofu. And 100 of you will pursue 10,000. Okay? 5 will pursue 100, and 100 will pursue 10,000. We'll see Rashi in a moment in terms of the mathematical calculation. And your enemies will fall before you by the sword. Let's see Rashi. Rodfu mikem. Mikem means of you, indicates the weaker of you. From the weaker of you, not from the strongest. Will pursue the enemy. It's mikem. Is this mathematically, is that the calculation? Right? If 5 pursue 100, so how many should 100 pursue? 2,000, right? Same number. So, but it says 100 will pursue 10,000. You cannot compare the lesser number who fulfills the Torah to the greater number who fulfills the Torah. Firstly, what does one thing have to do with another? They're going to war. If they're studying Torah, you say the Torah of 100 has greater value, meaning the total is greater than its parts. 5 study Torah, although they're doing the same thing as the 100. It's a different dimension. But they're going to war. With the French, if 5 of these people go to war, 5 pursue 100. 100 go 10,000. Because that's Rubenos at Torah. How do we understand it? We say in Ashrei, it says, Korov Hashem Chol Korov, right? But for Kuf, it's an acrostic, Ashrei. Korov Hashem Chol Korov, Chol Ashikru Ve'emes. God is closest to those who called him Be'emes. What's the simple understanding Be'emes? So the way everybody understands Be'emes means with sincerity, with truthfulness. If you're truthful, when you call to Hashem, he will respond to you. Karav Hashem l'chol karav. He's close to all those who called him. Asher yikru ve'emes. So I wanted to say, the way I understand it, it has to do with what we're speaking about now. Torah is coined by Shlomo Melech as what? Emes Kenev al Timkor. The Gemara quotes this, the Rambam in Laws of Talmud Torah. Acquire truth and don't sell it. What is Torah? Torah is emes, unadulterated truth. That's emes. Korov Hashem l'chol korov. Who are the korov? Who are the ones who call? Ashekruv bemes. Those who called him, who possess emes. The ones who have that dimension of Torah, because they're committed to it and they're connected to the emes. Not their calling. Karu be'emes. They're calling in a state because they represent truth, because they are the Bali Torah. Those are those who are closest to him, and that's why he responds to them. Over here, you have 5 Jews who study Torah, committed at a special level. They pursue 100 of the enemy. These people, who are they? They're representatives of emes. What about if you have 100 of them, not 5? It's a greater representation of emes. As a result of being a greater representation of emes, you cannot compare a lesser number who does Torah to a greater number does Torah. They are another level of representation of Torah. Of course, as a result of that, the numbers are what are greater numbers. The 100 pursue 10,000. We read in Pirkei Avos that if you have 10 people studying Torah, Shechina imoim. 5 studying Torah, Shechina imoim. 3 studying Torah, Shechina imoim. 2 studying Torah, Shechina imoim. Even 1 Shechina imoim. So the Maral asks, so if even 1 Shechina imoim, the Shechina is with them, so what do we have to do about 10? 10, 5, 3, 2, 1. So the Maral says it's no question. The degree of Shechina of 1 is not the same as 2, and 2 is not 3, and 3 is not 5, and 5 is not 10. It's a different dimension of Shechina. Because there's another representation of those who are studying Torah. These people, in Adoba, Muatimos said Torah, Limrubimos said Torah. When they're going to war, it's not Osam Set Torah. It's who is going to war. They are the Osam Set Torah. It's that level of representation. Being a greater level of that representation, it has greater value. Therefore, they can pursue multiples more than the lesser number pursuing the enemy for that reason. The Gemara tells us that after Jericho, we went to war, And the next battle after Yericho was Ai. That was the name of the city. And in Ai, there was 36 casualties. 36 people were killed. And Yeshua knew immediately there's a problem. Because the victory was supposed to be miraculous. There weren't supposed to be casualties. So immediately he realized that evidently there's a problem. What was the problem? That somebody had taken from the spoils of Yericho, because they weren't permitted to take, Ochan, and Hashem says, Choti Yisrael. The reason why it happened is because the Jews sinned. Because the Jews sinned, therefore we had the casualties, 36 casualties when they took Ai, the next conquest. So Mar says in Sanhedrin, did they actually lose 36? Mar says no. There was a person there who was a great tzaddik, and he was the equivalent of Rubishel Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin is 70 judges. 36 of one person that his status, his value was the equivalent of 36 judges, the majority of the Sanhedrin. That's 36. Doesn't mean 36 individuals. So when we're evaluating the loss, it's the qualitative value of that individual. He's 36. He's the equivalent of the majority of Sanhedrin. 5 people study Torah. They're exceptional, but it's not comparable to 100. As a result of the power and what the divine assistance you merit when you have 100, it's multiples of what we only have 5. Therefore, 5 pursues 100. 100 pursues 10,000 for that reason.